Hi, I'm Andrea and welcome to Products in C#. In this video I want to talk about tuple patterns in C#8. Here I have a console application targeting .NET Core, and I want to take this application and use tuple patterns to show you how you can simplify the code. So let's understand what the application does. I defined a coin enumerators, head and tail, and I have a method called cost that takes a move. A move consists of is a tuple that takes a coin and another tuple of integers, basically a point, and then based on some particular logic is returning an integer that is the cost of the move. So the logic is that if the coin is head and the x is greater than 0, I will return x, otherwise y. Instead, if the coin is tail and y is greater than 0, I will return y, otherwise I get a cost of 0. And here there are 4 examples: head with 1 and minus 2, head and minus 1 and minus 3, and you can run this application. I can see what the output is. It's a 1, minus 3, 5, and 0. Okay, we want to preserve this behavior and use tuple patterns and simplify this code. Okay, so as you can see, there's quite a lot of coding here involved, and there's a bit of duplication as well, like a move point x, move point y. It's been repeated in quite a few places. So let's start with using a tuple pattern for the first if. So instead of doing move.coin equals head, you can use a tuple pattern using this syntax. Is, then you provide a tuple, I provide head, comma, and then I can say, okay, I don't care about what's in here. So this is basically a tuple pattern. So what I'm doing is basically I'm saying that move should match with head in the coin, and then I don't care about the actual two numbers, x and y. And if this is true, the if will be valid. If I take this, I can apply this for the tail case as well. Okay. Now, the cool thing about this feature in C# is that you can nest patterns between each other. So here I can use var pattern to capture the actual variables x and y. I can do var x and var y to actually capture the two values, so that internally here I can actually use hex instead of using all the time move.point that is quite verbose. Right, so I'm using a tuple pattern, and then inside the tuple pattern I'm using another tuple pattern, and then I'm using the var pattern twice in order to extract the integers values from the tuple. So you can see how much you can nest patterns inside C#8 to simplify your code. And I can do exactly the same here. I don't care about y in this case, I only care about x in this case, I only care about y. Let's capture y. So that means I can remove y here, and I can remove y here. But there's a problem. A local or parameter named y cannot be declared in the scope because it's already used. So this y here has already been defined. And when you use var patterns, these variables are actually defined at the method scope, so you can't have this method repeated. It's a bit annoying. So let's rename it to yy, for example, but I'm not really happy about that. Let's see how we can fix that. Okay, so other small changes we can do, like the else, it's not really necessary. Okay. Now, what I want to do is let's convert this sequence of if statements in a switch expression. The switch expression is a very nice feature addition to C#8 that allows you to basically write a full switch statement as a single expression. So the syntax is return, move, switch, and then I provide different cases. So I can use the pattern directly here, copy this pattern, and I stick it here. And then I use the kind of lambda syntax in order to express what I want to return. I just copy the code like that. Then I can do the same for the other case. That will return this. But it's a bit annoying because there is not a return in a particular situation. So I need to use the when keyword here to do this logic. right? And then if I use underscore, I can say it's kind of the default state and just return 0. So I can get rid of all of this because I've just transformed the if statement into a switch expression. So let's make it compile. So I copied something more. There we go. And this should work. If I run it, it's still printing 1, -3, 5, and 0. So we preserve the behavior. Okay, we can do even more than this. So let's see what we can do. For example, now that we are using a switch expression, I don't need to use the double y anymore because I am in the context of a single expression, and this is a very good and nice win when you use the switch expression. Also, we don't really need to have the names of the items of the tuples because we are actually giving the names inside the switch expression, so that's not really necessary. Then you can decide to keep this first line as it is, or you can use the when keyword and use 2 different cases. It's up to you. You can really change as you want. What I'm saying is that you can change this to be like when x is greater than 0, return x, and then you can say, okay, I don't care about x, return just y in this case, because remember that in the switch expression the patterns are executed in order. So in this case var is no longer necessary. So I can simplify that using something like this. So I can say if the move is head, I capture x. If x is greater than 0, return x. Otherwise, if it's still head, I return y. If it's tail and y is greater than 0, return y, and otherwise return 0. So as you can see, the syntax is extremely compact and really express clearly the logic behind this method. If you compare this with the initial state of the method, you can clearly see that this is a lot more expressive, and you have a lot of power in what you can define with this sort of patterns in C#8. So that's pretty much it. This is what I've shown in particular is the tuple patterns that basically allows you to match a tuple and do different logic based on what kind of matching you want to do. And remember, you can do a lot by decomposing the tuples in different elements and running conditions and using nested patterns in order to do complex logic. As always, at the end of this video, I always mention that the most important thing is readability. Always choose the features of the language that help you to make your code more readable. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So it doesn't matter using latest feature of the language. The goal is to make the code simpler and easier to understand. So if that's the case, use the feature, otherwise not. Thank you very much for watching.